Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Rest of the morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ಗುಡ್ ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಕೋಸ್ಟಿಗೆ ರಾಮಿದೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಗುರು ಸರ್ dear participants, is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
You are audible, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Guru sir?
You are audible.
Sir, audible.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What about Guru sir?
No, sir. No, sir.
No, sir. No, sir.
Just
No,
okay,
sir.
okay. He's online. Okay, okay. Guru sir,
ಸರ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿಲ್ಲ
ಅಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಬಹುಶಃ ನೋಡಿ
ಅದೇ
ಗುರು ಸರ್ ಆಡಿಬಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಏನೋ ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ
ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದೇನೋ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗಿದೆ
ಸರ್ ನೀವು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಗುರು ಸರ್
ನನಗೆ
ಇಲ್ಲ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ
ನಿಮಗೆ
ಈಗ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಸರ್ ಇದುವರೆಗೆ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿಲ್ಲ
ಹಲೋ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೆಂಟ್ಸ್
ರಿಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿ
Yes,
participants.
Now you are audible, sir.
Now it is audible.
Now it's
one of you please reply.
Yes, it is audible.
Audible, sir. Okay.
Audible.
So good morning to all of you. Needless to respond to my good morning messages. I request all of you to first unmute your audios, please. So because it's an online communication, unfortunate that we cannot have by mode. So it is only unimodal better because otherwise we mesh up with many communications. So, but still in between in my lecture, I may request you to respond to a couple of my queries. Then you can unmute and then respond and quickly mute your audio. Okay, that's my first humble request to all of you. Please don't mistake me otherwise. So I especially thank Dr. Nanjun Swami, the Deputy Director of this MMTTC, and also the Director for their invitation for me to be here to speak on my views on philosophical terminology called research to the great participants who are expected to be the future teachers of Greater India. I'm really happy. So before I proceed, I just want to make certain things to be more clear for you. Because you heard of Dr. Nanjan Swami presenting about myself, and he got me introduced to you all as basically fundamentally a teacher and a researcher in the field of computer science, right? I'm neither from the discipline of philosophy nor from the discipline of Department of Education, but I'm very much from the discipline of computer science. So in spite of it, I just made up my mind to talk to you people on more a philosophical terminology called research. A quite interesting terminology, which I've been finding it very difficult to find clear-cut definition for this. But however, I can give me an opportunity, I can narrate a story on research for long hours, days together. But I still unable to, I'm unable to find a clear-cut definition for what is called research. Anyway, so my interest today in this session and also in the subsequent session is to take you all along for a walk on a corridor labeled research, showing you various avenues, various scopes, and what is that corridor, why is that corridor, what are the different components of a corridor, as if If you built up a, suppose if you built up a new house, imagine that you built up a new house and visitors are coming to your residence, then what do? You just take them along to all the floors of the building, letting them simply see what are the facilities made available, where is the bathroom, where is the kitchen, where is the prayer hall, where is the living hall, where are the bedrooms and so on, but letting not stay them for a long time in any one of the corner of that. So that's my interest. My interest is just to go for a walk on the corridor called research and highlighting the significance of research and especially the importance of documentation in research. Okay, this is my you know objective of this presentation. And number two, I just have prepared a couple of slides, probably if I remember 20 or 22 slides, based on my experience for the last roughly about 30 plus years of research. And because of the experience gained, because of the research carried out by myself personally, and also because of the research work carried out by more than dozens of my students, I just am presenting my views on this research. And I created a slides keeping in mind the peoples of different levels or peoples at different levels of abstraction as far as the knowledge is concerned. Probably in this gathering, I may be addressing some of you who are supervising PhD scholars, or some of you submitted PhD thesis and got awarded. I mean, some of you must have completed the PhD, and some of you must have submitted the thesis but waiting for the VIOS examination. And a couple of you could be pursuing PhD, and a few of you may be planning to enroll for PhD. And some of you must have quite interesting people that must have dropped the idea of enrolling for PhD also. I mean, in your group gathering, I understand that I see different the people of different levels of knowledge level abstraction. I'm sure that the slides which I prepared to present in front of you would suit all of you, irrespective of your level of understanding of this terminology called research. And in my presentation, probably you would observe that I will be using two terminologies very frequently. One is called PhD, the other one is called research. I make it very clear in the beginning of itself. Don't get confused. I'm using them as if they are interchangeably used, though there is a significant difference between the PhD and the research. So if I make it very clear now itself, research is a journey, whereas PhD is a byproduct of some steps in that process of journey. So PhD research is a journey, PhD is a byproduct. It's a time-bounded research, you can call it as. After some time is over, after some accomplishment is achieved, after some targets are achieved, you will get a reward in the form of a PhD. PhD is like a fruit of your effort on this journey called research. This is the big difference between a research and a PhD. But still, in my presentation, when I'm talking about the qualitative aspects of the process called research, you can understand that I'm equally talking about the qualitative aspects of the PhD degree. Or if I am stressing upon this, what is called PhD, then you can equally understand that it is also about the research. So these are the things which I just make it very clear. So let us begin understanding what is called research. I just request those who would like to answer this question in a single phrase, I would appreciate you just unmute, reply, and mute your mic, please. What is your understanding on research?
Research is a new invention.
New invention. Please mute your audio.
Searching again and again is research.
Pardon?
Searching the information again and again is research.
So searching information again and again. Please mute yours.
Finding the fact.
Sir, digging more information.
Digging more information. Please mute yours.
Finding the fact.
Research is search for truth.
Research is searching for truth. Good, great.
So research is extending the boundaries of knowledge.
Enhancing a space of knowledge. Okay. Yeah, mute yourself, please. Only one response from each participant.
Create a new knowledge.
Creating new knowledge. Excellent.
It's a systematic and organized investigation.
Systematic and organized investigation. Good.
ಸರ್ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ
ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿಪ್ಪ.
ಸತ್ಯಾನ್ವೇಷಣೆಗೆ ಇರುವ ಒಂದು ಮಾರ್ಗ ಸರ್.
So it is a way to find truth being hidden in the nature. Fine. I converted
Adding something
into
new to
English
the
for others.
existing body of knowledge, sir.
Pardon?
Adding something new to the existing body of knowledge.
That's what enhancing knowledge. Please don't.
Sir, contribution to knowledge systems.
Pardon? I didn't get you.
Solving specific problem by
Solving
discovering
specific problem. Okay. Good.
Way to find novelty.
Creative analysis and systemic work.
Analysis and systematic work.
Creative also.
Fine. Thank you. I request all of you to mute your audio.
Discover new things.
2 minutes got over. 2 minutes got over. Audio, please mute them. So I'm really happy that, many of you have spoken out. And that shows that you are really allied and good teachers. And all of you have given a real wonderful, well acceptable definitions. Individually, all are acceptable. But individually, none of them is exhaustive way of defining what is called research, right? Individually, somebody said new invention, researching, searching again. And somebody said that, enhancing the boundary of a knowledge space, so enhancement of knowledge, upliftment of knowledge, upliftment of literature. And somebody said that creating a new knowledge. Somebody said that, solving a particular problem in the end. Everything is acceptable definition, but no one is a complete definition, right? Now, my concern is, can I think of, I have acquired, your multiple views on the research. I just have acquired, assimilated, I just have assimilated through acquisition. Now I got to agglomerate them, I just have to agglomerate. Agglomerate means I'll just assimilate and then see that I keep them in together and put it in a different way of expressing, which covers up all. That could be a better way of defining what is called research. I mean, if you can think of coming out with a more precise, a single sentence or 2 sentences which cover up all these through agglomeration, through assimilation, right? And that perhaps is what is called research. So instead of going for telling all these, problem solving, finding new, digging out truth, etc., look at the term called research. Probably if I request a mathematician to understand this word, he may love to split up into 2. Let's split it up and understand what is called research. Then probably he say that we go for splitting that into separately, search separately. If you want to have a thorough understanding of research, I appreciate you first understand the meaning of the search. There is a quite interesting search, The search is a process of figuring out or locating or finding out something of my interest. If I go for searching, I don't go for searching for somebody. I go for searching for my requirement, right? So search is a process of figuring out something of my interest. Let me underline here, my interest. And something, that's what is called objective of search, what I am searching for. Then, where I got to search for it, right? Where I got to search for it. Probably when you wanted to pursue your orientation program, I'm sure that you were in the process of searching for a good teachers training center across India so that you can enroll and get your orientation program completed. You went on searching. But you didn't do one time, Then you have done it multiple times. Then only you could locate reasonably a good, training center to successfully complete your orientation program. So that's what I mean. Searching is a process of finding out something of my interest, but where I got to search for it. Suppose I am looking for my pen, then all of a sudden my hand would go to my pocket. So where is that expected to be available? That's what is called a domain. Look at, these are the 2 things which I got to make it very clear in the beginning of search. What I am looking for, that's called objective of search. Where I got to search for, right? Soon after master's degree is completed, a boy would go in search of a girl to get married. He has got his expectations. Who am I searching for? What are the characteristics of the girl I am looking for? what is supposed to be the qualification of the girl. I mean, describe that, the objective, what I am looking for. And where I got to search for, should I look for a girl in Karnataka? Should I look for a girl in Andhra Pradesh? Or is it okay if I expand my search space to the entire India, right? Where I got to compromise, where I got not to compromise. These are all the things which I got to make it very clear before I get into the process of search. Look, when I do first time, probably I may not be so matured enough in making up a decision. If I do it second time with a knowledge, with a knowledge of the previous experience, then I become much more effective in the second time search. I mean, probably you must have heard of that, do things repeatedly. The moment you do things repeatedly, you would pick up better knowledge, not only at a superficial level, but at a deeper level. To come out with such a finer level of understanding on the objective of your interest, probably one time search is not good enough. You have to do second time. And when you do the second time, you will arrive at some more additional knowledge, but still you feel that it is incomplete. Then you do it third time, fourth time, etc. And when you do next time, you have to do with the background of the previous experience. Look, dear friends, my interest is not to end up being knowledgeable, though there was a era, or there was a time when we were talking about knowledge is power. No, nothing can be done with the knowledge today. And I don't like to be with a power, but I want to be a powerful. Earlier days, when you wanted to know about Ashoka's kingdom, perhaps the people used to go to different library in search of the knowledge. But today, you just go with the computer, Google it, you will get it by pressing it a single button. I mean, getting the knowledge was so difficult. That's why it was called power. But today, getting knowledge is so easy. The knowledge cannot simply be called as a power. But you have got to make use of the knowledge, understand that, and identify that knowledge has got to be used for what purpose. Is it in a right direction or a wrong direction? That mindset is very important today. And to become such a person with a greater positive mindset, then I should not end up being knowledgeable, but I got to end up being experienced personality, and then subsequently a wise personality. Look, my interest is not just to acquire knowledge, but my interest is to experience. I mean, when I talk to my students, being a teacher, you are just reading knowledge should not present. Your experience should present to the students. I mean, you should not speak personally. It's not that the guru is speaking today. It is just his experience speaking. To rise up to that level of maturity, that it's not good enough to do search once and knowledge of our interest. We have to do it again and again, again and again. Once you do it multiple times, then you will not become only effective in acquiring and carrying out your job, solving your problem. We would also become an efficient way of accomplishing it. That's what is the benefit of the research. So it is search, but I do it again and again. And such a search again process is what is called research. Hope I made this simple. I mean, if you want to define the research, the terminology in a single phrase, needless to say anything, nothing like invention, nothing like, disclosing, nothing like digging out new, simply say search again process. Research is a search again process. So what do I search again? It is an objective must be made very clear. I'm presenting now the steps in research. It is objective have got to be made clear, and then where I got to search for. It is not that you have got to do research in mathematics. Within that mathematics, you have got to identify a specific field of mathematics, a subfield of mathematics, a branch of mathematics where I have got to dig out more knowledge. That search again would help you to see with a lens. Look at here, I have shown you the lens. So that's something which cannot be seen with the bare eyes. Then you have to go with a lens so that it gets magnified. Understanding in a better way, in an enhanced way, that something of your interest requires not one-time effort, but a multiple continuous effort. And such a process of digging out something of your interest with a multiple times is what is called search again. And search again process is called research. So look at here. I have a couple of image examples for you to understand what is this search again process. So I have nothing to do with image processing, though I'm an expert in image processing today, AI scientist, but I have nothing to do with this image processing, but I just have taken up these images as examples to communicate my ideas. my thoughts on the philosophical terminology called research to you people. It's only a pictorial examples for you. So I request you to unmute and then respond. The moment you had seen this picture presented in front of you, what part of the image suddenly caught your attention? Only one answer, quick.
Hand. Standings.
Suddenly, the moment you look at this picture, first sight, what caught your attention?
Yes.
A woman in the picture. A woman in the picture.
Woman holding
Woman in the
baby.
picture.
An old man.
Don't say only one answer from everyone. Don't repeat. Woman, old man, etc., etc. Say only one, because first sight is supposed to be only one.
There are figure hiding in the face.
Pardon?
A figure hiding in the face, camouflaged in the face.
That caught you sudden attention?
Yes, yes. It is my first view went there.
Okay, fine then.
There are two pictures.
Mm-hmm.
There are two
pictures. Sleeping on the road.
There is something sleeping on the way. Good. Don't explain the picture.
There are three, sir.
Don't explain the picture. The moment I got this projected like this, way back, very first time, what part of the image caught your attention?
There are two pictures, sir.
Okay.
The old man head.
Go behind.
Fine then.
Bald.
So keep your mic muted now for a few seconds, and let me tell you, here is next picture. What suddenly caught your attention?
The old woman and the man.
Yeah,
A couple, sir.
a pair. Good. Old couple. Next.
Old couple.
Any other person?
Two people sitting, a person holding a guitar.
Okay.
Hidden picture in the face.
Please, only one of you don't answer. It's only one response I'm looking for. It's a first sight.
It's looking like best, sir.
Okay.
In first sight,
look at
we
here.
don't know that.
Look at here, and tell me what catches
A
you
young
first.
girl.
A girl.
Girl.
Old
Young girl.
lady face.
Old woman.
Old woman.
Old woman.
Young girl, sir.
Girl.
Young girl.
Young girl.
Young girl.
Some of you are seeing
Hat and
girl.
head.
Some of you are seeing old woman, right? Yeah, that's all your interest. Those who have seen old woman, that was your interest. Because I said, searching for objective of your interest. Okay, let me go back to this, and let me just please mute your mic. Once you answered, immediately mute your mic, please. Follow this. Otherwise, it creates noise in the environment. So, look at here. I just marked part of the image, and some of you have noticed that there is a woman, and I am just segmenting it out and displayed aside in a reasonably magnified version. Now, I want you to focus only on this segmented and displayed part of the image, not on the original full image. Now, identify if you could see something which you have not noticed earlier.
She's holding something in her
She
hand.
is holding something in her hand. Right, fine. Please mute your mic. Now, my question is, earlier you could not see it, but now it is made visible. The only reason is that I just have gone for a tool and a procedure or a methodology which would help me out in seeing much closer to it, a magnified version. I mean, I'm using a spectacle if I cannot see the letters with my bare eyes. That lens is a tool. Similarly here, I did some algorithm, some tool. I just marked it and then cut it off, placed over here in a magnified, zoomed version. And I mean, it's not good enough to make your objectives very clear. In addition to that, as I mentioned already, that you have got to mention the scope of your search, and further, you have got to clearly define in your research process what are the tools and techniques and materials to be adopted. So with this example, I'm telling you that Unless you make sure that what tool you are using, what procedure you are supposed to follow, your research cannot be so appreciable. So in order to make it so effective, you have to clearly define what are the tools, methods, and materials to be used. Now, my question is, I'm just thinking of a problem. What is supposed to be in her hand? Any guess?
Sir, dog.
Dog.
A baby.
A baby.
Dog, sir. Dog,
Okay.
confirm.
I mean,
Dog,
animal.
sir.
You can say
Dog.
animal, or you can
Animal.
say baby. Fine. So there is nothing like a confirmation. It's only hypothesization I'm talking about, right? That's your view. Let's now please mute it. Please mute. Don't talk. Please mute. Now let
Sir, it is a puppy.
me present you a story now. Look, this girl happens to be my neighbor, and I have been watching her since her childhood, and she is from such a poor family background, and she is expected to have her breakfast in the morning and carry the sheep to her field to take care of their, sheep from morning to evening. And she is supposed to come back in the evening along with the sheep. And while coming back in the evening, she is supposed to carry the grass on her head. And now I understand that this picture is a picture clicked while she was coming back home, having grass on her head, holding something in her hand. Now my concern is, what is supposed to be in her hand?
A lamb, sir, a lamb.
Sheep
A
or
lamb.
lamb.
Any
Fine,
cattle,
fine,
a lamb.
A lamb. Lamp. Fine. Only one answer is enough. Please don't repeat. So lamp. It's supposed to be a lamp, right? So because the story tells you, that's a background story, no? Without understanding the background, you cannot make a decision. Unfortunate that most of the time we the researchers simply take up a decision prejudiced. Your research should be independent of prejudice. Look, I'm introducing here. I have introduced tools, methods, technique, the significance, and now I'm introducing that the research should be independent of prejudice. It is not that you have got to make the decision. It is that you have got to make the decision based on the background. That's why most of the universities, including our university and institution of national importance, have made it mandatory for a researcher to undergo through a coursework, to pick up a greater background to carry out the research so that he can come out with acceptable decision, acceptable, conclusion. So let me present alternatively the other story. Look, I have been seeing her, this girl, and today she is about 18 plus years old. And recently, about a year ago, she got married. Please unmute. Please mute your mic. Pravi Chatterjee, please mute your mic. I'm seeing her standing in front of her hut. What you see in her background is the roof of the hut made up of grass material, and she is standing. And I understand that she got married a year ago. Then my question is, what is in her hand?
Baby, sir, her baby.
Baby,
Baby.
right?
Yes.
Why did you make your decision change? Earlier you said lamb, now you are saying that it is a baby, right?
Based on
Because of the context you are
Story is
changing.
different.
Context.
Context is different.
Context. That's great. Context matters a lot. I mean, most of the times we do make research experimentation and focus only on the end product and canvassing that end product without looking at the context. Most of the times, look, dear friends, I'm seated here. Though I am alone talking to you people, if somebody looks at me, he understands that probably is a madman talking individually over hours together. But the moment he understands that I'm talking over a communication channel online and there are people listening to me, then he understands that he appears to be a resource person. Number two. Number three, I'm just imagine myself standing in front of a railway station, the same qualification, same dress, same appearance, but I'm standing in front of a railway station. Then whoever looks at me considers me as a passenger. If I am laying down on a bed in a hospital, same qualification, same person, but lay down on the bed in a hospital, considered to be a patient. If I am going for a walk along with my mother, I am the son. If I go for a walk along with my children, I am the father, right? Look at the labels would differ because the contexts are totally different. Unfortunately, I've been seeing, especially in Indian scenario, we are concentrating more on the primary aspect, primary data, neglecting the contextual data, neglecting the secondary data. It is our responsibility to look into what is coming along, and based on that, you have to give a better understanding on the primary data of your interest. Look, you must have a strong background of knowledge, and not only that, you must also understand what is secondary information coming along, what is the secondary data coming along, right? That is very important. With respect to this picture, I wanted to say, probably most of you have not identified that there is another interesting component here which got marked, and let me get it segmented it and displayed here. Hope so. You are seeing a old man uncomfortably standing, right? Then my question is, what is the reason for this uncomfortability for this old man to stand?
He's
Lack
late.
of space.
Yes?
Lack of space, sir.
One of you, please. Lack of
Space.
face.
Space.
Because of the age matter.
Oh, he may have some leg problem. Okay,
mostly ಹಂಗೆ ಕಾಣ್ತಾರೆ.
Huh?
ಏಜ್ ಆಗಿದೆ.
Age agide. He is aged. He is aged.
There is no comfortable place to
May
stand
not
them.
may not be stringent, controlled environment. Okay.
Maybe you have health issues.
Or maybe health issue. Fine. That's good. All of you have spoken out wonderfully well, reasoned out what is supposed to
Less
be.
energy.
Fine. What is once I started speaking, please stop speaking. I just give only few seconds for you to respond, right? So I cannot expect 70 to talk. Then 71 minutes will go off. Please.
ಆ ಹುಡುಗಿಯ ಮಗುವನ್ನು
So look at now. Unmute.
There is a cat.
Whether
I am not expecting any more response. Mute your mic, please. Mute your mic. Mute your mic. Once I started speaking, don't respond. When I give a pause, then you have got to respond to that, right? So this man is uncomfortable because when I interacted with my master students way back, that one of the master students said, "Sir, background matters for decision making." And you have given us already a background that there is a young lady standing. And sometimes I, being young, hesitate and scare of standing in front of a young girl. How can we expect that old man to be comfortably standing in front of the young girl? Because look at the scenery. In front of that old man, young lady is standing. That old man cannot stand comfortably well. That's the reason he has quoted. Look, you said aged, you said restricted, you said controlled environment, you said maybe health issue, etc., etc. Those are all conventional way of thinking. Please, if you really want to be a good researcher, don't think the way the others are thinking. However unconventional you are thinking, there is a chance for you to come out with a wonderful result, right? Make it unconventional. And not only that, the moment something is requested for you to work on, then don't think in a narrow down. You have to diversify your thinking. The moment, imagine that I hold a cup of water, where cup is made up of a glass material. If I just drop it off, then what happens? On the floor, the glass material gets broken down. The moment it gets broken, then water gets spread across. It doesn't go like a river. It gets spread across in all 360-degree directions. That's how a mind of a researcher should think. The moment given is a problem to the mind of a researcher, the mind of a researcher should suddenly diversify in all possible angles. What could be the different ways of looking at it? That helps him to inculcate multidimensional aspects of learning. Look, multidimensional aspects of learning is supposed to be an interesting component of a research process. Look, don't think conventionally, make your thinking unconventional, however funny it is. But that will definitely help you to come out with something novel. So probably you may, being a teacher, see the student seated in the last row, right, creating some problems for you in the classes without allowing you to teach comfortably, but see that they are creative, but you have to channelize their thinking. That's the only difference. So this example I just quoted intentionally to let you know how to think differently. So thinking differently is supposed to be a greater attitude. Please understand that in my presentation I concentrate more on qualitative attributes of two entities. One entity, a researcher, the one who carries the research. What is supposed to be the greatest qualitative attributes of a good researcher? And number two, I'm also concentrating on certain qualitative attributes of the process called research. There is a process called research. There is the one who does that research, carries out the research. He has got certain attribute. This process has got certain attribute. I am highlighting the attributes of both of these entities. Look, think unconventionally. A diversification of thought is what is the attitude of a good researcher. On the other hand, a research process should have so many things, materials, tools, etc., background study, etc., etc. So this is what next is probably some of you already identified that.
Sir, I have a doubt.
You can make a note of it and we'll have a discussion later at the end of my session. Don't interfere in between. This is not by model. It's not a offline classes for discussion, right? So make a note. I'll give a good enough space for you to have a discussion, please, by the end of my lecture. So this you must have observed, there are certain hidden faces. I'm happy that, some people have identified there is an animal like dog sleeping on the road. Probably when I interacted with people, then they say that there is a dog. But some people also say that old man who is holding his hand on the chest. Can you imagine? A right hand on the chest. That's a different way of looking at it, right? So, but if I tell that this picture I captured when I visited United States of America, then in America, probably some of you must have visited, must have watched, or must have heard of, right? The discipline in America that even cows are not allowed to walk on a street in America. Then how can I expect a dog to be comfortably sleeping, right? Then look at, if I tell that this picture is carried from America, then the probability that you can see a dog sleeping on the road is ruled out. It could be something different. On the other hand, if I tell you that I just have captured when I visited Delhi last week, and that too in the bazaar, then you may ask me a question, sir, why only one dog is sleeping? We expected many more dogs, right? Look, your presentation, your decision, your conclusion will be different based on the source of the data. Suppose, imagine myself in front of you people, imagine all of you are assembled in a big auditorium and there is a tap there where water is running out of it, and I collect a cup of water and then I use the spoon and then come to you and serving a drop of water to all of you. What do? I'm sure that you just wash your hand because you have seen me collecting the water from the tap. On the other hand, had I just simply brought it and said that it is from Tirupati, then look at the way in which you take the drop of water. It's not the drop of water which matters for you. It is the source of that. If it is from Tirupati, the way in which you take up is totally different. If it is from my own tap nearby your auditorium, then the way in which you accept is totally different. But the drop of water is same. Look at it. What matters is not the data that you collect. Who has given you the data? What has given you the data? That's called a source of data. Please look at here. Data is important, but more than the data, the parameter of the source of the data is more important. If it is a statement, there is a statement stated by Harishchandra. Hope all of you have heard of story of Harishchandra, who was a person, a king known for his not lying, a truth person. If there is a statement, I say that it is stated by Harishchandra, you will accept it as 100% true. But whereas, if I say that there is a statement stated by Nakshatrika, who is always lying, then you understand that it is 0% true or 100% lie. So, statement is not important. Who has given you the statement, right? The source of data. Look, dear friend, I'm just concluding now with this pictorial example. Couple of interesting observations come at, attributes One is tools and methods, and number two, thinking unconventionally, diversification of thinking, and number three, a background study, and number four, source of data, number five, contextual data, secondary data, and so on and so forth. We are going to look at all these aspects before you get into analysis of data. Look, what is analysis of a data? Analysis of a data is to generate a metadata about a data. A metadata, describe each data individually. You ended up collecting a data, no? Understand every piece of data first. We are so hurried in collectively understanding. No, you are not supposed to do it hurriedly. You have got to understand every piece of data which has been generated either through experimentation or through theory. Then once you understood every data, understanding every data, then you generate the metadata and put them together and collectively understand. While understanding them collectively, dig out the relationship between the data and the data, data and the data, relationship between the relationship and the relationship, and so on. Think of generating a knowledge base in a pyramidal structure, then you become more experienced. That is what the beauty of carrying out a research, not one-time search, it is a multiple times of search, hence the name called a research. So there are a couple of interesting components which requires little more time to explain. Let me not get into that and skip them. So here when I had interacted with you, what really caught your attention very first sight, you said old couple, and some of you could look at that there are people seated playing guitar. I appreciate a lot. But I may ask you a question, don't respond. I may ask you a question that, do you think that this couple love each other or hate each other? Then probably you may say that, oh, they love each other, sir, because you love your spouse. Or you may say that they hate each other because you hate your spouse. That should not be. Then I say it is a prejudice. Look at, if you want to claim that this old couple love each other, you have got to find out some information available in the pictorial data only, which justifies your answers. I mean, the moment I put a question, then you think, what is the probable answer for it? You are thinking of something to guess, and that a process of guessing with the background of your education is what is called hypothesis. I'm now introducing another terminology of research process, what is called hypothesization. In the hypothesization, the concern is to think, concern is to guess it, but while guessing it, don't make it a random guess, but guess with a background of education. And such a guess with a background of education called educated guess is what is called hypothesis. Hypothesize the problem. And when you are given freedom to hypothesize it, don't think in only one hypothesization, generate multiple hypotheses and work on individually. If you are successful in proving or establishing one or two hypotheses, then it's a wonderful research, right? So you said there are people playing. Suppose I say that they are hating each other. Then you have to quote certain examples. Look, dear friends, every extraordinary claim requires an extraordinary justification. Without such a justification, you cannot claim anything. So probably one can quote that, this couple hate each other because look at the way in which this old man hugging her, and trying to convince her where she appears to be very unhappy. Then I may have, what is the justification? Then you may quote that, look at his ear. In the ear, he has got somebody's photo, like Shakuntala, right? Not his own wife photo, but somebody. How can you expect the lady to be happy about this person? This could be the reason, no? However funny it is, but what my concern is, don't bring your understanding from the outside environment. What you do in experimentation, you're supposed to find out something within it. And based on that, you have to build up your justification. Otherwise, I call it as a prejudiced research. So there are many interesting things. There is a flower pause also here. So let me not. Don't talk, please. Mute. Look. So some of you are happy that, you said there is a young girl and there is an old lady. I'm happy that both the components were identified by you people. But my concern is not to look at them individually. I just look at them together, integrated. And I have intentionally taken up this picture to explain the following. If I erase, look at here, let me make it very clear for others. If this is considered to be a old lady, this is the mouth, this is the beard, this is the nose, This is the eye, this is the forehead, right? This is a old lady. On the other hand, if you want to look at this as a young baby, a girl, then this is the nose of the girl, this is the eye portion of the girl, this is where the mouth you can see, this is the beard, this is the neck of the girl, right? Then you see the left inclined pose of the young baby. Now, if I erase this old lady, this eye, this mouth, this nose, etc., that young girl doesn't continue to appear. On the other hand, if I just close or erase the young girl portion of the image, old lady doesn't exist. I mean, these old lady and young girl are mutually dependent for their existence. They are existent, mutually existent. One cannot exist without the other. I mean, this is how the relationship between the mutual dependency between the research supervisor who is old by knowledge, who is old by experience, and a young researcher who is in new knowledge, who is so dynamic, who is so energetic. You have to get assembled together in such a way that there shall not be any diverse in it. So you have to get integrated, and the research supervisor should feel that I am existing in the research area because of my scholar, and scholars should have a feeling that my existence in the field of research, it all depends on the existence of the supervisor. That is the affinity, that's the love and affection that should exist in between the research scholar and the research supervisor. I just have taken up this intentionally to canvas that what is supposed to be the passion of relationship, the degree of likingness, degree of similarity existing between a supervisor and a research scholar. So I have a question now. What are the attributes that we have learned? Then probably I can list out the following. Look at one is a process called research process. I said make tool very clear, procedure very clear, and you must have to identify the scope, I mean the domain and objective of study. And because you start your research, you have to hypothesize. I just have also told you what is called hypothesis is an educated guess. And you cannot start research from completely from the foundation because somebody has done some work. You make assumption and continue. That assumption is very important. Certain time at certain places, at certain instances, you have to make assumption of your research and then you can proceed further. So assumption, hypothesis. And I also told you it's not that the primary data which really matters for you to analyze. You should not just end up analyzing only the primary data, but you have to look at contextual data equally. And while looking at the data, primary and a contextual, you have to also look at who has given you that. So most of the times I have seen people from different disciplines coming forward to me, though I am no way connected to them. So please give us the data, sir. Tick something, seek something. We are in data collection. No. Is that person really qualified to give the data? What is this? Importance, right? So that you have to understand. That's what I call it as source of data. I'm working on image processing. What are the cameras? What are the parameters, right? So this you have to study. So I'm working on some sensor, satellite data. Which satellite? What type of data is getting generated, right? You have to look at that. Otherwise, image analytics becomes foolish. So these are the different attributes of a great process called research. On the other hand, on your right side, you see some interesting good attributes, qualitative attributes of a researcher. One, he must be good at diversification of thinking. He must have a focused mind. He must have a strong background knowledge. Must be patience. In my wording, I say that in PhD, the first letter P refers to this patience. Once you have completed your PhD, you should be with a great patience in listening to others, observing the environment. You should not be so hurried, right? You should not be so tensioned. You should have acquired a great patience. You must be like a saint. That's the reason philosophical degree called PhD, doctorate, right? Philosophy. So patience. Then if you are a researcher really working a lot on a topic of your interest, you should not comfortably sleep. Even if you are sleeping, your subconscious should be alert. You must dream of. I mean, subconscious should be very active. And somebody said in the definition in the beginning, it must be systematic approach, and you must be committed and must be determined that you will definitely do it. Very ambitious. These are some of the great qualitative attributes of a good researcher. Then probably for the last roughly about 55 minutes, 55 minutes. We have spent roughly about 55 minutes. How did we spend 55 minutes? If you recollect these last 55 minutes, I'm sure that you will understand that we just have asked some questions. Pradeepa, please mute your mic. There is somebody with the label Pradeepa. Please mute your mic. Okay. So, see, for the last roughly about 50 to 55 minutes, I was asking questions. You are interacting, right? And not only that, you just simply interacted. You also were thinking parallelly. I am also thinking parallelly. I mean, we used to make some inquiries, and we were not passive. We were active. But we wanted to understand the better way what is called research, right? I have not done anything except giving it a multi-dimensional perception for the word called research. There is a word called research. Somebody is looking from this angle, somebody is looking from this angle, somebody is looking from this angle, and I just rotate and see, scale it up and see. I just want to look at and pursue the term called research in multiple perception, multiple directions. And that's what we have done. I mean, we were active, but that active process was more into inquiry. When we are active and more into inquiry, we will have a chance to acquire new knowledge. We'll have a chance to learn something extra. So automatically, my knowledge base gets lifted up. Look, I do research in computer science. Because of my research in computer science, literature of computer science should go up. Otherwise, it's not a research at all. Look at then. If you want to define the term called research in a single phrase, please don't hesitate simply saying that it is a search again. And if you want to elaborate it for a next level of one sentence, then you can simply say that it is an active process of inquiry. I don't do anything in the research. Like Newton, what did Newton do? He went on inquiring himself. He went on asking himself and finding out the answer for it. He was so active in the process of inquiry, and such an active process of inquiry is what is called a research. So being an active process of inquiry, it is expected to meet with the two requirements. Number one, should be systematic. What do you mean by systematic? Look, suppose Dr. Nanjan Swami calls me back and says that, Dr. Guru, we want your lecture again for the next set of participants. Then I don't mind going with the same slides in the same order, quoting the same almost similar examples, maybe in a different language, maybe in Kannada, understanding that they are only Kannada, or maybe school children, then I speak to that level of understanding, right? But I go in the same way. I can reproduce my lecture, maybe with a different language, maybe with a different set of examples, but my lecture it gets reproduced. That ability to reproduce something, then I say it is called systematic. So a process could be called systematic if that could be repeated, if that could be reproduced. A diligent. Suppose after completion of my lecture, I just sit myself thinking on the way in which I could speak out. How did I speak out? Did I really do justice to my presentation? Was it really attractive? Did I introduce something new to the audience? Were they happy? If I ask myself and I feel happy about that, I mean, being a teacher, once you have delivered 1 hour of lecture for your students, while walking out of your classroom, while just taking a step out of your classroom, if you recollect the way in which you have taught your students in the last 1 hour, if you feel extremely happy, very, very happy, then I say that the way in which you are delivered is diligent. Look, dear friends, research process should not threaten you. Research process should not threaten your head. It is not, somehow understanding, doing something, oh my God. No, it should be diligent. You have to do it with a pleasure. You have to carry out it with a great pleasure. When you do it with a pleasure, I say it is a diligent process. So research is expected to be systematic, and in addition to be a systematic, a diligent. So the research can be of possibly 3 ways. So I have here intentionally avoided invention because I don't believe in invention. Being a mathematician, I understand that everything is in the form of a transformation. If I find something, called it as invented new, it was existing earlier in the nature, we dig it out. I call it as a discovery, right? It was existing, but nobody noticed it so far. It is the first time being noticed. It's not invented. Or Earlier it was in some other form and got transformed into this form because of assimilation of several things, because of operations of several things together into single. This product was not existing about 20 years back. Now it is existing. That doesn't mean that it's something newly invented. I say that it is a productized because of multiple materials together with a new idea. So that's what is called transformation. I believe in it. Otherwise, if you really love to have invention, I don't have any objection. You can call it as research aims at discovery, research aims at interpretations, research aims at revising facts, research also aims at invention. You can go with that. So discovery, cover, discover, right? So I just hold this. I'm looking at this. Yeah, as and when I just bring it this object, I hold like this. I look at myself. It is visible for me, but not for you. So for the other set of people, I mean for the other community, for the other region, geographical region, some portion of the object is not visible. It is hidden. But it is visible for me. The moment some of you make an attempt to see that, I just take my hand back so that it becomes visible to you, then you say that you discovered it. So discovery doesn't mean that it was not existing earlier, but it is now found. It has been existing, but nobody noticed it. It must have been noticed a century ago. I mean, 200 years ago, 300 years ago, but those population have not documented it and not made it, available for others. It was not made visible, but unfortunately, knowledge got collapsed, but still existing. And new set of people today ignore the same knowledge. Then I say it is a discovery. Discovery doesn't mean that it is the first time. Must have been seen earlier, but not documented. Right? So you say that somebody found a way to reach India. Somebody found a way to reach India, right? Somebody found a land called United States of America, right? That doesn't mean that he is the first man, because there were people living in America, right? But this is the man who found it very first time for other community of people. That's what is called discovery. Interpretation. Look at what I have been doing for the last 1 hour. I'm interpreting that same terminology called research in a different style, different perception. That's what is called interpretation. So your research could be a kind of interpretation. Your research could be a kind of discovery, or very interesting. In fact, the powerful one is called revising fact. If I say X is a brother of Y and Y is a brother of Z, you should be able to revise that X, Y, and Z are brothers. Right? X is also a brother of Z. That's inferencing, right? Generalization of knowledge. So you collect some specific examples, study them case by cases, and integrate them together, understand in a general. Move from cases to generalization. That's what is called generalization, inductive principle of learning. The other one is take a Pythagorean rule, apply a right angle triangle problem that in a hand, solve the problem. I say it is a deductive knowledge, deductive principle of learning. Use either inductive principle or deductive principle. They look to be dual, but not strictly speaking in a practical environment. They are duals. Duals means one is working in a reverse of other, but the end product is same. But in the case of inductive and a deductive principle, though appear to be a dual, they are not strictly speaking in the process of research dual. Right? Inductive principle is moving from specialization to a generalization, whereas the other one is from generalization to a specialization. So revising fact, sometimes, look at, I have a simple example for you. Some of you, for example, a budding teacher comes to me that, Dr. Guru, sir, I want to pursue my PhD. Then I want to study the people, especially the girls or the ladies in some city X. Call it as, let's say, some city X, call it as Bangalore, call it as Gulbarga, call it as Chennai. Let's take up something like a Chennai. I want to study how are the human life in the Chennai, right? Then I put him a question, go to Chennai, meet with a married woman, collect the data. Sir, what data I got to collect? Then I tell him, just simply collect whether married woman in Chennai is happy or unhappy. Then he goes and meets with every married woman in Chennai. Assume that it's a small town having about 1,000 families. There are 1,000 ladies. He collected the data, and every lady said that unhappy, 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 unhappy. Then he comes back to me telling that, Dr. Guru, I found an interesting result. What is that? Every married woman is unhappy. Then why are you saying it is interesting? I want to publish a material. What material you have to publish? Marriage makes woman unhappy. Oh my God. Don't be hurry, because I'm the guide. Look, dear friends, if something goes well, the credit is to the research scholar. If something goes wrong, if something is not acceptable, that blame goes to the research supervisor. Supervisor should be so careful. I don't allow that person to publish it because he says that I want to write a paper that marriage makes women unhappy. No, not necessarily. Who knows? They are unhappy. You met with every married, but everybody is unhappy. That doesn't mean that guaranteed to be because of marriage. Go back, collect the data. Why are you unhappy? Why are you unhappy? And so on. Then every woman said that, yes, because of marriage, unable to get a good guy to marry. My husband is not so good. I'm unhappy. I'm unhappy. Unhappy. He comes with an angry face. Sir, yesterday only I told you, you really wasted one day of my life. I wanted to publish it, but you sent me back. Then I said, at least you got some confirmation. No, don't be hurry. Do think, is it because of marriage? Of course, unhappy. What is the guarantee that they were happy before that, right? Then in Chennai, there are girls who are unmarried, bachelor. Go and collect the data. Then you will go back, meeting with bachelor girls who are unmarried, collecting the data. I am sure that that person will not go with one question, he goes with the two questions. Why? What are you? Are you happy or unhappy? The second one is, why are you, right? Because otherwise he is aware that I will send him back. So he collects the data because he did it twice in the previous example. He collected the data and come back with a unhappy face, telling that even girls are unhappy, sir, in Chennai. Then I will ask him, did you find out the reason? Yes, sir. Otherwise, I know that you would have sent me back. I collected the data. Then what did they reply? They replied that, every girl is unhappy because that girl is unable to find a good guy to get married. Look at. Now we collected the data. We have not done any research. We cannot think of publicizing any material out of it. But the boy is so keen in publicizing it. Then I block him. It is a data collection, not the research you have carried out. Let us not sit and analyze this data collected. Look here. Here is a group called, a female. We categorize them into two classes. One is a married class, other one is an unmarried class. And when we interacted with this married class, every married woman is unhappy. And here also every unmarried girl is also unhappy. Then similarly, you look at the class of male of Chennai. Here is a class of female bifurcated into two disjoint subsets. One is a married class, another one is an unmarried class. So here, similarly, there are males in Chennai. I collect them here. And myself and my research scholars sit across the table for discussion about this data collected. And I come out with this modeling, with a graph theory, with mathematics and all, I come out with this modeling. So this modeling tells me that the way in which we could categorize, we could bifurcate the female group into two subgroups. I can do similarly male also. One is a married male, another one is unmarried boys. Now, why are these married women are unhappy? Because no man is good. No man is good, right? And that's why the corresponding lady is unhappy. So why are these unmarried girl unhappy? Because they expressed that they are unable to get a good guy to get married. There is no person who is a bachelor boy, a good, so that there is one girl who would have caught him, right? So they were unhappy because no bachelor boy is good. So putting together, I understand that whether it is a married male or unmarried boy, nobody is good. Look at, I conclude now that in Chennai, no person, nobody is good. This is only understanding. That doesn't mean that I'm declaring on Chennai. Don't carry that. I take up a study, but look at here, interestingly, the facts which we have collected, the data that we have collected is only on women, female class, but our induction is on the male class. This is how sometimes it happens. It is like, somebody gets into a swimming pool at one corner and goes in search of a knowledge and then comes up out of the swimming pool in another corner. But the navigation across different facts is more important. So it's an ocean of knowledge. I know only little. Moving from a known to an unknown is a process of research, right? How do I move from a known to unknown, known to known, connect them and then navigate through the different facts, assimilate all the facts into together, attractive, wonderful, and then display. And such a process of navigating through many things in the way in which they are connected, finding out something new, from a known entity is what is called a research. And that type of research is called revising fact. Interestingly, in the process of research, which concentrates more into revising facts, this you are expecting a result at some time on something, but unfortunately you will never come out of it. But interestingly, surprisingly, you might arrive at a different things. This is what is called a revising fact and significance of revising fact. Whatever it's so, whether you aim at discovery, you aim at interpretation, or you aim at revising fact, but the thing is, there are fundamental and applied researches. I mean, in the entire process of research could be either fundamental research or in the applied. These are the types of research. One is called a fundamental. The work carried out by Newton is a fundamental research. It is still existing. And fundamental research is the one which is called pure research. The fundamental research is the one which is called a basic research, and it has a long life. I mean, it will never end. So it is always required. It exists for a long, long years. Whereas applied, it makes use of the knowledge created through fundamental research. Applied research, like, you have Pythagorean theorem is a fundamental research. Now I have some problem to estimate height of a hill in front of height of Himalayan, a mountain. I'm standing near Delhi, watching the Himalayan fountain. I just want to estimate what is supposed to be the height of a Himalayan hills. Then I use a Pythagorean theorem to calculate that height. Then I say, I have some problem. I am not into creating a new knowledge, but I am into making use of an existing knowledge to see that my current problem in hand gets solved. And such a type of solving, doing a research is what is called applied research. For more specifically, look, research can be categorized into two. One is a pure, a fundamental, which is also called basic. The other one is applied, which is more application driven. Look, you wanted to pursue your OP, you went on getting it solved. Then I say you did an application research. Whereas on the other hand, the state government or a central government, imagine there is no teacher training centers across India. Now UGC plans to establish such institutions. Then I say it is a basic foundation, fundamental, right? So in the case of foundation, that's what the Newton did. He went on asking and answering his own questions. So dear friends, some of you may be in technology related courses like nanotechnology, like environmental sciences, like computer sciences, like biotechnology, microbiology, and so on and so forth. Please, when a student comes to you with some project work, don't ever immediately ask a question, what is the use of it? Most of the times, unfortunate that we, the teacher, discourage student not to work on an unknown problem because that unknown problem appears to be having no application. Don't ever think of application for a problem. Just think, is that problem attained by somebody else or not? If attained, fine, solved. If not attended, solve it. It is a problem in hand. There's no solution. Find out the solution. Whether it is useful or not, that's not that you have got to decide. That may be because of your lack of knowledge. Because of my lack of knowledge, I'm unable to find application for it. Right? If not, the current generation find useful, probably the next generation may find useful of that solution. But your responsibility is to, if there is an unattained, unsolved problem P, find out a solution for the P and make it available. Don't look at the application aspect of it. That's what I call it as a pure foundational research. That's the Newton did. Newton never imagined that his theories will have a tremendous applications in future. He just simply generated the theories. He created the theories. He digged out something being hidden in the nature. The moment he had seen apple falling down, he went on asking, why it is falling down? What is the reason for it? But he never imagined that one day his knowledge will have a greater application. Today, we cannot think of physics without loss of Newtons. That is the strength of what is called pure or a foundation research. On the other hand, ask what is your current problem? How can I get rid of it? Can I make use of the available knowledge and solve it? That's what is called. Identify, ask yourself, and find answering needs for it. So your need gets solved. So look at, while doing so, I'm sure that this pure research advances the knowledge, uplifts the knowledge base, whereas applied research makes use of the knowledge. And then while making use of the knowledge, solving for an application problem, which is not necessarily original, you may be able to find some new insights for a theoretical work. So Archimedes, you must have heard of Archimedes. The Archimedes was given a problem of finding out the ratio in the mixture, but though it was an applied research, but later he just found out a density, theory of density, right? The theory of density is a fundamental research, but what is solved is an applied research. Sometimes while working for an application oriented research, you may find a new theory which stands forever. That's what is called fundamental. Look, fundamental generates a knowledge that will be used for applied research, and applied research creates a new problem that could be input to a fundamental. And this is how these two go hand in hand. But unfortunately, we the foolish people in campus say that I'm a fundamentalist. I'm a pure research scientist. I just think of a compartmentalized. And somebody says that I'm an applied scientist. No, I don't want to work on that. No, I'm sorry that the best thesis is the one where a couple of chapters concentrates on creating a knowledge, and a couple of more chapters concentrate on using of the same created knowledge for an application. But that doesn't mean that is a mandatory, right? And most of the Western universities, most of the PhD theses from national institutions of national importance like IITs, IIM, they got tied up with the industry. Industry finds some need, and this research scholar has to work for the need. While working for the need, he has to create a knowledge, he has to carry out a fundamental. In such thesis, I am sure that you will find a couple of chapters related to new knowledge and a couple of chapters related to application of that new knowledge. So look, there shall not be any separation between this pure and applied, no clear-cut separation. And there shall not be any controversy, at least in the minds of the researchers, because these are the two which go hand in hand. I think we can stop at this junction and continue further after a break. Thank you all for this. We'll have a short break up to what time, Dr. Anjut Swami?
Sir, 11:45.
11:40. We'll meet again at 11:45. Sharp, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 11:40. Dear participants, please join the link exactly at 11:40. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay,
Thank
sir.
you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.